You know how you're traumatized by your evangelical youth group and yet it was still the best thing that ever happened to you at that age? Wait, no? Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm a deep skeptic, also a pastor. Yeah, so I'm going to tell you the tea, but the basic thing is the evangelical youth group I was in traumatized me, hurt me very deeply in ways that I didn't fully understand at the time, and yet absolutely saved me over and over again. But not in the going to heaven kind of way. Like there was this time where my mom told me that her and my dad were getting a divorce and my whole world was coming apart, and my evangelical youth group leaders, the adult leaders, like held me while I cried in the church lobby and in the random room in the youth facility and like all the places. And then there was that time where I was at a church camp, and it was one of those horrible, very traumatizing evangelical altar calls, but it confirmed this thing that had happened to me earlier at church camp where I was really sure that God wanted me to be a pastor. And instead of treating me like most adults treat kids when they say that kind of stuff, when I was in middle school, my youth worker said, yeah, let me help you develop your leadership skills. I mean, leadership skills like budgeting and doing event planning and all of that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, and then there was like my best friends, like my tribe of people who were there for me and helped me as like a teenager, as other teenagers deal with breakups and all of the stuff that you go through as a teenager. Like all of my friends were involved in the youth group, and they were really amazing and changed my life for the better. And yet they also taught me that if somebody was gay, they were going to go to hell, and that at any point the rapture could happen, and if I wasn't right with God, I would be left behind to be punished and basically tortured by God, and that all of my friends who didn't believe like me were going to burn forever in hell. So there's this horrible bad and amazing good that is part of this evangelical history that a lot of us have. So what do you do with that? Well, you have a very adult realization that two things can be true at the same time, right? Something can be horrifyingly bad and doing trauma to you at the same time as providing you with a community and support system that actually allowed you to get through adolescence. And for me, a lot of that is people, right? I've realized that a lot of the experiences I had were long-term damaging ultimately, but there are these people that I feel like I constantly need to be thanking for rescuing me from the hardest parts of my adolescence, like Miss Pat and Hope and Todd and Manny and Linda and my youth pastor, Steve, who was everything to me, like actually everything, and my pastor's wife named Sandy. Like, all of those people are important. Like when I hear my old youth pastor's voice, it's like a warm blanket that just comforts me. And yet, I can also say that there was a lot of bad that other people don't need to experience, that deserves being called out and fixed. Both of those things can happen at the same time. I can do both of those things, be appreciative and also naming those things. And that's really for those of us who grew up with this like dual experience, need to find the place where we can appreciate the good and name and process, maybe in therapy, actually probably in therapy, the bad.